When Darren and I were growing up on the farm, our dad would talk to us all the time about how we could make money on the farm. And he said, you've got to work really hard. Basically, you have to make money with your back. But if you want to do really well, you also have to make money with what he called the pencil. Basically, you had to use your brain and take advantage of some of the things money-wise that you could do on the farm that would give you a competitive advantage. For example, prepay. He talked to us quite often about you want to try to buy products at the best time of year. Well, with a lot of seed and crop protection products, and for that matter, even fertilizer, now is about the best time of year.
Well, think about it. Every acre on your farm, at least your plan is to get some seed put in the ground and to protect that throughout the season. You know you're going to use seed, you know you're going to use crop protection products, you know you're going to use fertilizer. So why not buy them, like Brian said, at the cheapest time of the year? Well, look at seed companies, for example. They've all got discounts in the fall and in the winter, encouraging you to prepay. Well, you could buy that same seed in the spring, give up all that cash discount that you could have had in the fall? No way. You're going to take the cash discount. You figure that out. If, let's just say it's 10% and you're going to use that for 6 months, well, that's 20% annual percentage rate. That's really good money. That's way better than leaving money in the bank. So it makes a lot of financial sense to make those calls early.
The other thing is with the government, the IRS, obviously you have to pay income tax. But one huge advantage we have on the farm, or at least on most farms, is we are able to use cash accounting. So in other words, if we've sold, let's just say for easy math, we've sold $100,000 worth of crop and we had expenses of $50,000, leaving us $50,000 of net income. Well, if we want to lower that net income by $20,000, we can write a check at the end of the year for inputs like crop protection products, fertilizer, or seed. So you write a check for $20,000 and now we have lowered the overall net income to $30,000. Now a lot of people say, well, you're just pushing it off, so why not just pay the tax now and have it over with? Well, here's the way I want you to think about this. Let's say you push it off for the next 20 or 30 years. You absolutely can do that. So how much is that interest on the money over a 20 or 30 year period? It's a lot of money. You get to use that money the whole time. So why would you not take advantage of that? And you got to think about this a little bit and obviously work with your tax accountant, because you want to take advantage of, let's say, the lowest tax bracket. So you never want to go all the way down to zero probably for net income. You want to take advantage of the low tax bracket every year. But again, if you can push some of that income off to the future, you now have operating capital because you didn't have to pay that tax now. You get to pay it many years from now. So figure the interest on that and being able to use that operating capital, it's worth quite a bit.
Well, two things here, Brian. One other thing you didn't talk about is just, what if you have a bad year next year? What if you get some hail? What if you have a drought? What if your crop just doesn't yield very well? If you're pushing that off, hey, now you've got some options where, you know what? This is a year where I don't have much income. I can take some of that this year. So it could end up being a good thing for you. You just never know what the next year is going to bring. But the other thing that I'm a little concerned about, Brian, when you say prepay, is you got to know who you're prepaying it to. So if you're prepaying it to a local supplier, make sure they're in good financial shape before you do those things, because what happens if that local supplier goes broke? Well, that's not very good. So make sure that you know where you're prepaying to so your money is safe.
All right, so if you're worried about that, yes, number one, you want to know who you're prepaying to. But number two, you really could take the product right now. If you just say, you know, I'm kind of worried about this. All right, well, take the seed, take the crop protection, take the fertilizer, whatever it is. So now you don't have the money there, you have the actual physical asset.
Here's the other thing, Brian. When you're prepaying to a certain supplier, can you change your mind? Like, for example, let's just say the market right now tells me I want to plant more corn than soybeans on my farm. I'm going to go 80-20 with corn. Well, then the market changes a lot before planting time and I decide, wow, I want to get back to my 50-50, so I want to buy more soybeans and less corn. Well, if you bought from a seed supplier that says tough luck, you bought corn, you're taking corn, that's not a very good place to prepay. You want to make sure that you can get that same prepaid discount no matter what you take, and that you can change those products up later in the season.
Just remember that before you prepay, you're the one in control. So we just really encourage you, before you write a check out, make sure you've asked all the appropriate questions. Yes, Darren talked about, all right, how about product switches? But what I think about also is, how about product reductions or price reductions? If the price goes down on something, will you get the lower price? How about if you don't need the product at all? Let's say you get flooded out, you don't need it at all, and you just want to return the product. Will you get interest on your money? Well, there are some places that do that. Make sure you're asking that question. How about any returns? Just flat out returns. Can I return the product, period? And if and when I do, will I get that money? Will you refund that money to me right away? Do I have to use it the next year in product? Do I have to wait a long time? Ask those questions now.
A couple other things to think about with Prepaying, Brand. Here's one that I like the best. If I've prepaid somewhere, I can just show up and take product. And I could send somebody else. I could send my son, or I could send my dad, or I could send my wife. It's okay, because they don't have to write a check out or worry about the money. It's already taken care of. I like that part of it. I like not having that hassle in the spring. The other thing that I like is I get exactly what I want. When I see that hot new hybrid that I say, I've got to have a pallet of that this year, I'm going to get it because I'm the first guy that's going to order. I'm going to take advantage of the earliest order discount I can get, and I'm going to book that tight supply product to make sure that I get it. If I wait until spring to buy things, well, those things are going to be gone. I'm not going to get any of that hot new product. So if you want to get a specific product and you want to do it with no hassle in the spring when you're picking product up, I love Prepaying.
All right, the last thing that I wanted to talk about is how are you going to pay for this prepay? Well, you're either going to need to work with your banker, or there are many suppliers that will offer some type of financing program, usually through somebody like John Deere Finance or True Choice. I mean, there's several different programs out there and companies out there that will work with retailers. So anyway, you got to think about, well, how am I going to pitch my banker on this type of thing? And that's where you really want to run through the math and say, look, here's what I can save. Here's what it's going to cost me to borrow the money from you. So as you can see, this is a decent net return for me. And all the banker's really going to be concerned about is the financial stability of where you prepaid. We talked about that earlier. Again, if the banker's really that worried about it, just work something out with the retailer so you can take the product right away. Then you've eliminated that risk. Whether you're going to do this before the first of the year and take advantage of the tax breaks, or if you just want to prepay after the first of the year so you get a really good price and you're not worried about the whole tax thing, either way, we just want you to look at all these factors, make sure you're working with somebody you can trust, ask the questions first, all the questions like returns and if price goes down, all those types of things. So just get that all worked out. But all I can tell you is we do a lot of prepay on our farm. We find a lot of successful farmers are using prepay to their advantage. Run the math a little bit and you'll see, as long as you're working with somebody good that you can trust, this is a great way to go.
Prepay is certainly one of those things you want to consider on your farm. Another one is controlling our weed of the week. We'll show you how to do it coming up next.